Welcome to a special homecoming event. We have a couple legendary grads and a Calvert Hall needs no introduction, Miss June Brown. So let's welcome Miss June Brown back to the hall. How are you?
I'm doing well. Glad to be back. Glad to be able to come back. See all the changes that have been made. It's magnificent. I'll have to take a grand tour soon.
So Miss Brown, talk about coming to Calvert Hall. You came in 1979 maybe?
Yes. Yes, I came to Calvert Hall in 1979. Prior to that, I was at Dunbar High School. So it was a big changeover for me. I expected to be here and use Calvert Hall as a stepping stone to do something else. But like many teachers who come to the hall, it ended up being home. And so I ended up staying for over 25 years, and I retired in 2004.
Wow.
So I was here from 1979 to 2004.
A distinguished career. We have Eric Rogers, class of '81, longtime member of the Calvert Hall staff. And Eric, you were here when Miss Brown got here. How do you talk a little bit about the energy Miss Brown brought to Calvert Hall?
A lot of energy. Miss Brown was good for all the boys. She was like everybody's mama. So we kind of, look forward to, when anything went wrong, we had to go find Miss Brown before we did anything else.
And we also have with us Stephen King, class of '84. Stephen, you were in the Black Awareness Club all 4 years?
Yes, sir.
Talk about your Black Awareness Club experience.
So being here at Calvert Hall, I came in the 80s, 1980 to be exact. And I tell you, if it wasn't for the Black Awareness Club, I don't think that we would have made it through. It was a great support system. As Eric said, Ms. Brown was your mother, she was your aunt, she was your teacher. She was your friend sometimes, but you had to get your work done.
Yeah. You had to say sometimes, right.
You had to get your work done. And then if it wasn't for like the Black Awareness Club and having that network, that support, and all the guys that we met here and the friendships that we made, it wouldn't have been the same. But it was a really good experience, and I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity.
So Eric, let's see if I understand this correctly. If you weren't always doing what you were supposed to, not you, but other kids weren't doing what they were supposed to do, would Miss Brown hold you accountable?
Oh yeah, definitely. Ms. Brown, it was something to reckon with when you were doing the wrong thing, but let me tell you.
And that was helpful for you, I think?
Oh, definitely. That, put me where I am today. The discipline sometimes, that just changed your life.
All right, well, a big part of what you brought to Calvert Hall, June, was the Black Awareness Club. So talk a little bit about how you got that started, what your initial steps were, and where you went from there.
It wasn't long after I got here, I discovered that there were all different kinds of clubs for different nationalities. And I think there was a German club and a Spanish club. And one of the teachers, Mr. Lepresto, won't ever forget him.
Oh yeah.
He said to me, why don't you think about starting a club for the African American students? And so after I thought about it for a while, and then one of the students came to me, David Bruce, and said, if you do it, I will help you get it started. And so we did. And I not only wanted to make sure that they didn't forget who they were and where they were going, but also to bond together here at Calvert Hall so that they knew that they had each other to rely on as well as me. I didn't want them just to think I was here because, as I said, I really didn't come thinking I was going to stay, but it worked out differently. But I wanted to make sure that they knew that they could lean and depend on each other, and it worked. And what was even the utmost joy for me was how many students who were not Black, who were not African American students, who wanted to be a part of the Black Awareness Club. And they joined right in, and I tell you, I don't want to throw names, but if I had all the Kevin Cronins and Chris Boyles and all, you know, who helped out kids that just came, and when we did programs, they were willing to participate and not worry about what other kids would say because they were a part helping out the Black Awareness Club.
Stephen, tell us what you remember about the Black Awareness Club.
Well, the Black Awareness Club, it was that piece, that third piece that really made your high school experience, your coming into manhood, your being a part of a family. It balanced out for me anyway, coming from Baltimore City and coming from a public school to then, you know, Calvert Hall Catholic private school. But it was the balance. So you had your athletics, you had your athletes, you had your academics, you had, you know, the kids that were really into the books. And then you had the Black Awareness Club that really gave you that, not only the social, but also the family feel, the feeling of part, and really growing and learning everything you need to learn while you were here at Calvert Hall. I kind of came here on a whim from my 8th grade teacher who was a Calvert Hall alum, Polish guy, and he kept just talking about Calvert Hall. And so my mom said, okay, we're gonna go visit Calvert Hall. We came to an open house, and I'll never forget that one of the first teachers we saw was Miss Brown. Come find out, my mom and Miss Brown knew each other from college. And my mother was like, that's it, we ain't saying nothing else, you're coming here. And so the Black Awareness Club was really that, like I said, it was that driving force that kept it all together and allowed us to grow, allowed us to develop, allowed us to be educated, as well as go on to do other things. And it was the best. I can't say nothing bad about it at all.
So, Ms. Brown, the Black Awareness Club is a great resource for the African American students, but also made a big kind of contribution, I always recall, to the community in general. Like, you had some great assemblies and different programs you put together. Remember some of those?
Oh, yes. Lots of fun, a lot of rehearsal time.
Oh, my.
And
That'll fall.
Yeah.
yes, a lot of fun. But it was a joy being able to present to the entire Calvert Hall family parts of African American history. And as I said, even those students who were not of African American descent always played a part in our programs. They were anxious to be in our program because they knew that it was going to be educational, but also entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
And when I would get, even before we had an auditorium, when I stood in front of our audience, and we always had a packed house, you don't know, that really did something to me. And while we're on that, I just want to say that so many people think that the African American students who attended Calvert Hall, parents had to have money. And we had, and I guess that was one of the reasons I stayed. There were a lot of kids here whose parents struggled to keep them at Calvert Hall. They wanted a better education for their for their kids. And so I needed to work extra with them. When those expensive trips came along to France and places like that, Calvert Hall allowed me to do a separate end of the year trip so that the African American students and any of the other kids whose parents couldn't afford those trips, that they still had somewhere to go and outlet. I mean, we've gone to Memphis, Tennessee, we've traveled all around in the Poconos Mountains, taking them different places that they may not have gone to, because their parents couldn't afford to send them to France, for end of the school year trips. But that, along with our programs, all of those things brought joy to me.
Any particular shows you remember best?
I think my favorite, which everyone should know, was The Train of Life, because we did that twice.
That's when we built the stage in the lecture hall?
Yes.
We built the stage in the lecture hall, yeah.
And
Remind guys what that was about a little bit, because some guys will remember when you talk about it.
We were talking about the believers and the non-believers of Christ. And those non-believers could not board the train and the believers all got on the train. And so we had it set up with Gabriel, and we had the angels who would let you in the gate, those who would reject you, that told you why you couldn't get in, and the ways to clean up your life so that you can get yourself together to be able to have your name in the book of life. So, and we dressed the part. We had all kinds of people in every walks of life. Some people thought that people who certain lifestyles weren't going to make it in, and they made it in because it was about being a believer, not about the lifestyle that you live. And so we had fun with it, and we did it in the old building, and then when we got an auditorium, we felt like it was worth putting on stage again.
So those were great. I remember some speakers you brought in and some performances you had. It was just very powerful, very powerful.
Yes, we had Daniel Comegys, Murray Carter.
We had Hugh Carey. Remember Hugh Carey in the choir from Dunbar?
Oh yes, Morgan's choir came up.
Yep.
Ben Carson.
Ben
right?
Carson
Yeah.
was one of our speakers.
So Ms. Brown, everybody, some guys will remember for sure, and they'll want to hear this again, but some guys won't know. Tell them about David Bruce a little bit. Tell them the story.
David Bruce was
He was a founder though, right?
yes, he was one of the founders for Black Awareness Club, the founder. He was the young man that asked me to start the Black Awareness Club. Always willing to help, always wanting to do things for people. So it was no surprise that while he was at college, he volunteered at the fire department, working on the truck and doing things like that, just a give back kind of person. And we found out that he had gotten killed on a fire. I think we were at the senior prom when they came in, and they told us at the senior prom. I only had a short time with David, but the impact that he made on all the kids and myself. He was a great leader, a nice speaker, cared about the club surviving and working, and he was always in contact with me, even when he went away for college, to make sure that we were doing certain things to keep the club alive, and making sure that we gave back to the school, which we did. Whenever we had a program, we made sure that we gave money to the school so that we would be a giving factor. David Bruce was, I pictured him as being that next president that we might have of the United States, that first black president of the United States, because he was just that well-groomed, in academically and socially, and so.
Yeah, good heart.
Yes, he had a very good heart, always willing to give. So, it wasn't, even though we were all hurt, when we found out how he was hurt, it kind of fit, because it fit his character.
Sure.
We know that he was, he was helping out, doing something.
Right. So Eric, one of the things about Calvert Hall we like to think is that we tell kids to make friends for life, right? So thinking back to your experience, Black Awareness Club, the guys you met, and your Calvert Hall experience, is that true, the friends for life?
Who you meet here is who you're going to be with the rest of your life. These are your friends for life. That's one thing about Calvert Hall, that the networking when you meet people. That kind of gets you through life. Like something happens to you, and you'd be surprised where you go and say, you went to Calvert Hall? Oh yeah. You know such and such? It's a beautiful thing. Networking with your friends as you grow up, like now the kids don't get that now because they're separated. And you got kids on A day and kids on B day. They don't get to see all their friends. That's going to make a difference in their life right now.
Steve, thinking about a few years later, right? What do you remember or think about your Calvert Hall experience? What does it mean to you today?
It was definitely stuff that happened to me here, or that I went through here. I still carry it today. It shaped who I am. It allowed me to see a diverse population of young men grow old together. Some of my friends that I met here, we had met in 8th grade before we got here. We wound up being in each other's weddings, being godparents to each other's kids, still socializing and doing stuff with each other as adults. And now some of them, their kids are here or have been here and graduated. So definitely a place or a source where it definitely shaped who I am and what I became. But it also gave me the opportunity to see that even though we're different, the diversity that was here, it prepared me really for when I went to college.
Gotcha.
Because when I got to college, everybody there definitely was different. It was in a whole nother state. Not that, but it was just different. But I had experienced some of that right here in Cabot Hall. Yep.
Ms. Brown, looking back, now not just as running the Black Awareness Club, which you did a great job with, but also as a teacher, right, managing freshmen, right? But I don't know, what do we used to call it back then?
Type in, oh my God.
We went
Typing.
from typing.
Oh my goodness, typing.
And projects and all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
my God.
What do you remember about your Calvert Hall, your total Calvert Hall experience, your career there? And what you saw go on here, what you thought went on here, you know, that kind of thing. What do you think?
I watched us go from one age to the next. You know, the transition, just being here and remembering all the different transitions. As you said, we started off with manual typewriters. we went from the manual typewriter,
Oh, man.
and then they came out with the electric typewriter, and we got the electric typewriter, and then we went to the Apple computer, and then we finally moved to a PC more like IBM. So, just watching, just being here, being a part of those different transitions makes you think about the years. It's like, oh my God, I've been here forever. You know, but it was a good, it was a good experience, you know, and.
Those who remember you, remember them typewriters.
Oh, yeah. I'm quite sure they remember Stevie Wonder. You know, so, you know, it was good. It was a good experience, and being able to say you were a part of the growing pains of all that was going on and the different things that was happening at that time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But being a part of Calvert Hall is great in itself. You know what I mean? Because Calvert Hall is more of a family,
Right.
and you never get away from that. You know what I mean?
And Eric, what do you think what do you see as the changes over the years? Is it we're the same, we're different, we're both? What do you think? You've been here a long, long time. I don't want to say that long.
Some good, some bad. You know, the mentality of the kids have changed a little bit. We all want the best for our kids. We spoil our kids. When we were growing up, when we were coming to Calvert Hall, you had to earn everything. Everything was earned. But now sometimes you see where the kids are given everything because their parents didn't have, so they give them more than what they need. And some kids now don't work for it, and they really don't appreciate it. But there are some kids now here that struggle and appreciate where they are. It's a two-sided street when you come to kids nowadays.
All right, Ms. Brown, we'll just wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here. It's great. It's going to be a great addition to the homecoming, right?
Thank you.
Steve, thank you, and Eric, thank you. Ms. Brown, look, as we finish up, I'll give you the last word here. You know, we talk about Calvert Hall, pride of our diversity. We're always working on being better, but we pride ourselves on diversity. But we have a lot of issues in the world today, like, you know, people are on different sides and all that kind of stuff, picking sides and, you know, not listening and not talking, whatever. So what would be your message going forward to guys who know you from way back and were here with you and through your clubs and all? What do you think is a message for those guys going forward? How do we keep getting better, I guess?
Oh, that is so hard. That's a hard one, Joe.
Well, that's why you're a legend.
But I would like for all of them to remember that we were all taught here at Calvert Hall to respect
And
appreciate each other for who we were. Not who you wanted us to be.
Or where we came from.
And yes, we sit around now, and right now, I'm just gonna throw it out there, the political parties are like in strife, and you know, it's so much going on, and it seems like everyone has forgotten about, we're supposed to be working for what's good for all. It doesn't matter what color, what race, what political party that I belong to. It amazes me how we have so many educated people who aren't thinking, what are you thinking about? It's not about the party. It's about what's right. It's about making truly it better. And I don't mean
what's
going
good, what's good
back.
for everybody.
What's good for everybody. And we're not talking about going back, doing whatever, because if we look back, it wasn't always good for everyone. And that was what we were supposed to have been striving to get to a place where it was good for everyone. So, but in order to do that, then I would say, come on guys, remember who you are, what you are supposed to stand for. And we were always taught to grab the hand and bring the other one along with you, giving a helping hand. You can't call yourself a true hallman if you're not willing
To help the next guy.
to help the next guy
Definitely
get
gotta help
to
somebody.
the next level.
All right,
Take that way.
that was awesome. That was awesome.
Right.
3, 2, 1, wrap it up.